Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another El Nino update. So today we're going to talk about a serious issue that is actually going on in the forecasting community. There have been many articles that have been posted lately by many weather meteorological um, websites that have been posting up articles about El Nino and the fact that it's actually peaking now during the month of December. The truth is, if you're a weather geek like I am, chances are that's incorrect. There's like a 95.5% chance that's incorrect. And the reason why we know this is because as weather geeks, if you follow Weather Underground, you're kind of, it's an obligation. You feel it's an obligation to keep up with what's going on around the world overall. And the fact that they're actually lying to us in the face, especially Noah being the primary one, saying that, oh, El Nino's peaking now in December, when the truth is El Nino peaked November 23rd at a whopping 3.1 degrees Celsius, and it began to decline on November 30th, 3.0 degrees Celsius, makes it very misleading to the public. And not only that, should I dare mention that December 7th, it actually Nino regions 3.5 and 3 declined to 2.9 degrees Celsius. On that same week, they also both declined the following day to 2.8 degrees Celsius. Of course, giving the signs that this El Nino is not strengthening, is not reaching its peak, but rather is doing the exact opposite. It's actually weakening and it's taking all its bearings with it to the middle of the ocean, obviously, and it will become a Central Pacific based El Nino. And the reason why that is there is because you look at the European models, including the least dynamical models, they're currently pointing at a negative, strongly negative NAO/AO as we head into January, going into February. That usually indicates strong blocking pattern, in which case it will happen sometime next year. Not this year, sometime next year, although there is a chance that we might have a potent storm off the coast of the Northeast by, say, December 25th. And it could possibly be enough cold air at night in the coastal areas to actually cause a wintry mix. And that wintry mix can actually follow up into the next day, into the celebration of Hanukkah, of course. And before I get any further, happy holidays to everybody. So now we're going to get into the nitty gritty of things. So in California, they're not Southern California to be general, to be more specific. They haven't gotten any significant rainfall as of yet. That's because during El Nino, the rainfall really doesn't settle till late December going into January. That's another reason why forecasters do believe you're going to have a rain and blocking, because the Pacific jet stream that's now dominating the northern parts of the country and keeping us warm is going to shift southward. Once you get that shift southward in that Pacific jet, you're going to allow for ridge to actually, it's going to be a high pressure system that's going to form off the coast of Alaska by next week. And that high pressure system is going to keep any low pressure system from actually forming there and actually causing any convection or any parades of storms in the Pacific Northwest. And then you're going to have a secondary ridge that will, you're going to have another ridge. It's that same ridge is going to move into parts of the Pacific Northwest and then push up on the jet stream. So you're gonna get the jet stream to look more like more like a seesaw like this, and you're gonna have Alaska in the southern part of the fringe of that jet stream, which means Alaska's gonna be in a warm sector, and so will be the western parts of Canada. But the thing is this: in the El Nino illustration of a normal pattern, when you see the illustration, it shows us um, that the northern jet stream goes straight across Canada, and it stays bottled up to the north, and then you have the southern jet stream, which pretty much is illustrated correctly. The northern jet stream is illustrated incorrectly, because in order for it to stay bottled up to the north, you need to have another high pressure system. You need to have another big high pressure system sitting in the middle of the country, protecting the northeast and the midwest and the plains from allowing that cold air from dipping in. If you just have one high pressure placed in the Pacific Northwest, then don't expect the jet stream to go like this and just miss the northeast completely, because it's not. Especially when you have a weakening El Nino that now sits at 2.8 degrees Celsius. It's not going to happen. That jet stream is going to go like, whoop, exactly like this, and it dip right where the northeast is. And it's common knowledge that when you get a high pressure system pushing up on the polar jet stream in the west, it's going to sink regardless of what you do with it. Because for you to just draw something just so vague as that is like putting in falsified information of somebody who comes to work on time every day, and then you want to just trump the person by saying, oh, this person was late, But anyways, moving on. Let me just show you. So lately, this is what it reads. This is from KTLA. This is what it says. And this is Noah, obviously. You see this picture here. This picture here is basically, I need to really straighten this out. Let me just help you guys here off the set. Let me just fix this for you guys. I'm using my Xbox. I'm so sorry. for this information. So basically, if you stay here with me, this picture here you cannot see, but I'll tell you what it is. It's basically water vapor imagery of the systems that just keep barreling into the Pacific Northwest. That pattern is going to change. These low pressure systems are not going to be down here, going into this way. So let me tell you what it reads. A powerful El Nino continues gaining strength. Okay, since when El Nino gains strength in the month of December, especially when you're being given information handed out straight to you as a meteorologist, pretty much stating that the El Nino has dropped from anywhere from 3.0 since between late November into December 7th. It dropped pretty much, it dropped 3 degrees pretty much, the El Nino region between that time. So basically, this El Nino continue gaining strength is incorrect. It says according to the latest forecast released on Thursday, it reads that El Nino sits at 2.8 degrees Celsius. That's not the signs of El Nino that is actually gaining strength. To further prove that theory, we're actually going to go back and we're going to take a look at the El Nino anomaly. This thing actually even, begins to even listen to me. Okay, so let's see here. So we're going to go and look for the El Nino information. Let's go to now let me show you Weather Underground's forecast of El Nino. Let me show you that right now as I go through this information. Sorry, I was quiet there first. I'm just trying to concentrate. So let's click here on the El Nino. If you're on the Weather Underground page, you should see you should be able to see all this information, latest on the El Nino effect, latest on El Nino forecast update weekly. You're gonna go there. You're gonna click on the El Nino update weekly. So here you go. Oh boy, it's usually faster than this. So okay, as that loads basically, okay, there it is. So we gotta let all this load really. So let me read you this. Are you ready? So I'm going to read it to you and you're going to literally see what I mean. And this is not a strengthening El Nino, it's actually in fact the opposite. It's actually more of a weakening El Nino. So the weekly sea surface temperatures reading taken within the Ninio 3.4 region on November 30th, 2015 was 3.0 degrees Celsius. The week before that, on November 23rd, was 3.1 degrees Celsius. The current reading on December 7th, when taken in the El Nino reading, in the El Nino 3.4 region, it is now 2.9 degrees Celsius. But on that same week, another article was released on December 8th stating that El Nino dropped to 2.8 degrees Celsius. So basically, this is, you read it completely, it says the weekly sea surface temperature reading taken within the Ninio 3.4 region near the equator has dropped slightly to 2.9 degrees Celsius above average. This is down from the last week's 3.0 degrees Celsius reading, and the previous week, which was November 23rd, 3.1 degrees Celsius, which was the highest weekly value observed during any El Nino event in Noaa's records. What does that mean? That Noaa fully knows that El Nino actually peaked during the last 2 weeks of November, and regardless knowing that, it's still putting us with the misinformation, making us think it is peaking now, and the truth is it's not peaking, it's actually weakening. So basically, all this information and all these weather people are putting up in, meteorological people are putting up on the internet has to just like calm down. Because we're saying that hype is not even all that real, and the El Nino is not really like Godzilla-like in reality. Because when the rain gauges were checked in the west, they're still significantly behind in rainfall compared to the El Nino 97, 98, and 82, 83, which by this time this year had mudslides, flooding in California up and down the west coast. This year, it seems to be more of a El Nino seems to be holding back a bit, and um, it seems to be holding back a bit, and it's not as strong as people originally thought it would be. So to tell the truth, this El Nino peaked a long time ago, like in November, and this El Nino will continue to weaken, and you will see what I mean continue to weaken. People have a conspiracy, a theory that it might actually re-strengthen going into next week, but the truth is we know that's not true because the models clearly show that it will just decline from here on out. So thank you for watching this video. I will have the current outlook for the second half of December after this video, and it'll be posted today as well.